Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Emmanuel Frederick, your e-commerce growth expert, and in today's video, what I wanted to talk about is the easiest conversion rate optimization tip that you can start using today to start raising your conversion rates, improving your ROAS, increasing your return on investment on your ad spend across your entire funnel, and instantly start growing your e-commerce business. Now, it sounds like a lot, it sounds crazy, but after years and years of experience and spending millions of dollars on ads and conducting literally hundreds of split tests, this is the most reliable way that I've found to increase your conversion rates. And what's crazy is it works in any industry. You can literally use it in any industries, whether you're selling supplements or, pet supplies or mattresses or literally anything you can think of, toys, and any industry possible. So it works across all industries. It works no matter what kind of traffic source you're using, whether we're talking about Facebook ads or Google ads, YouTube ads, native ads, or even for an organic e-commerce website that uses SEO and all kinds of organic traffic. So it works across all verticals, across all traffic sources, which makes it extremely powerful. And it's also very counterintuitive because it goes against what a lot of all the big e-commerce gurus are telling you. So the first thing that I want to do in this video, before getting into this tip, just so you can understand the context behind this, is I want to debunk the biggest conversion rate optimization myth that everyone talks about it. So here's what people think conversion rate optimization is, and that's something that it can be, but that's not the most powerful way to use it. So what most people will tell you to do is you have a landing page, you have a product page, and you want to test, for example, the color of your buy button, or you want to test your headline, which is not necessarily a bad split test, but the problem is most people think conversion rate optimization is a small part of an e-commerce business. It's like a little thing, like you have your business and it's going to give you maybe like 5-10% more sales, it can be significant if you're doing a lot of volume. But what I'm going to advocate for in this video is that conversion rate optimization should be one of the most important parts of your business. And it can literally not increase it by 5%, not boost your business by 10%, but you can literally double or triple your business if you do it properly. And the reason for this is simple. If you've ever run paid traffic, you're quite aware that a small increase in your CPC can lead to a massive increase of potential volume. So, for example, it's not a linear thing. It's not like if you raise your CPC by 20 cents, it's not just going to raise your traffic by like 5 or 10%. It's a non-linear scale, which basically means that maybe right now you're here, and if you could afford an extra 20 cents per click or an extra, whatever, $5 in CPM or whatever metric you'd like to use for your ad spend, you could potentially not get a small increase, but get a massive increase. So maybe you're here and you could be spending a lot more while still remaining profitable with potentially an even higher return on ad spend if you had higher conversion rates. Because as any good advertiser knows, the person who wins in advertising is the person who can afford to spend the most to acquire a customer. And one of the best ways to do that is to get higher conversion rates. So my argument in this video is that you should be dedicating an incredible amount of resources to trying to figure out how you can raise your conversion rates. That should be one of the primary focuses of your marketing strategy. And as it turns out, split testing the color of the button on your landing page is one of the poorest ways to raise your conversion rates. It's very anecdotal. It's probably not going to change much of anything. What will actually make a difference is if you follow proven marketing principles that have been used for over 100 years by direct response marketers, which leads us to the tip in today's video. So what is the most reliable way for you to increase your conversion rates? Well, I'm going to say to you in one sentence, it's simply adding more copy to the landing page. Now, this might sound ridiculously simple. At this point, you might be thinking, Emmanuel, you just attracted me all the way here into this video just to tell me this, but this is actually a lot more profound than it sounds. So again, most people, if they want to raise their conversion rates, they're going to try all kinds of fancy things. And the truth is, if you have a landing page or product page or any kind of page where you're trying to persuade people to give you their money, the best thing you can do is adding more copy to that page. Now, what does that mean? What it means is currently, let's say you have a product page and you have 500 words of copy on your product page. The most reliable way to increase your conversion rates is simply to add another 1,000 words of copy, explaining in details the benefits that people get if they bought that actual product, proving the claims that you make more effectively, whether it's with case studies or scientific studies or any kind of proof you can think of. Or it could be some emotional copy trying to describe the feeling that people will get when they experience the benefits of your products. Or it could be talking about the history behind how the product was created, so that people can really connect with your brand in a way. It can also be simply adding more side benefits. I call it side benefits. So let's say your product has one main benefit. Typically, people will experience some side benefits as a result of getting that core benefit. And so you can really try to explain those benefits. You can talk about the mechanism of your product, meaning how exactly is it that your product works. If you make a certain claim for your product, how do people go from point A, where they are now, to point B, which is where you promise that they'll get after using your product. So there's all these things that you can do to make your product more attractive and to make people believe that your product can actually fulfill the promises that you make. And another example where it's not technically adding more copy, but it's adding more details, could be adding a video on your product page. That's an extremely effective way to make people connect and believe in your product in a different modality, right? So instead of testing the color of your button on the page, even instead of testing your headlines, as much as I'm a big fan of testing headlines, the first thing that you should start doing if you want to raise your conversion rates is to add more information. Now, at this point, there's one objection that a lot of people might have, and they might say, well, Emmanuel, but people aren't going to read all that copy, right? And actually, you're right. Most people will not read this extra copy that you add. But the fact of the matter is, if someone is actually considering buying your product right now, and very few people actually are, out of any 100 visitors coming to your product page, there's probably not more than 5 or 10% who are actually considering making a purchase decision right here, right now. Most of, 95, 90% of the other people, they're just kind of browsing around. They're not really time wasters. Maybe they'll buy in the future, but they shouldn't be your primary focus. And if someone is actually considering purchasing your product, they will read any amount of information that they can about your product. To make this more clear, let me give you a very simple example. Let's say you're considering buying a car, right? You want to buy a car, you're comparing like a Audi or BMW because, I don't know, you want to get a semi-nice car. And so if you're actually considering purchasing that car, would you think that spending an hour or two with the salesman is a waste of your time? Would you be like, no, you know what? I mean, unless like 50 or 100 grand is nothing for you, for most people, they'd be totally willing to spend multiple hours with the salesman. And they're going to want to learn absolutely everything they can possibly know about this car, even if it's completely irrelevant, the horsepower and all kinds of technical details that most people probably don't understand. But they're still going to go through the effort to learn about these things because they're considering making a significant purchase. Now, obviously, in your e-commerce store, you're not going to ask them to spend 4 hours thinking about buying your product. But if you add an extra 1,000 words of copy, they might spend an extra maybe 5 or 10 minutes on your website. And that extra 5 or 10 minutes is going to make, out of that 5 or 10% chunk of people who are considering buying your product, you might very well double your conversion rate if you do it properly, if you use good sales copy, if you use good copywriting, which you can learn about in other videos on my channel, how to write good sales copy and how to be more persuasive in your e-commerce landing page. But the point is, if you add more copy, you're going to get a bigger chunk of those people considering making the purchase. And the more and what's crazy is, obviously here I'm talking about adding 1,000 words of copy. In my own e-commerce businesses, I started out adding 500 and 1,000 words, and it made a big difference. And then eventually I kind of realized, well, if this is working, why not just add more information? And so in some of my best-selling products of all time, in some of my top businesses that make millions and millions of dollars in revenue, I would end up with these landing pages with like 6,000 or 7,000 words of copy. Like I'm not kidding you. Like literally, it went up. Like my biggest page was probably like 10,000 words. I think. Like it would literally be like sales pages almost. And every time I did it, like the conversion rate would go up, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep doing it. And it's very rare that whenever I try to do some split tests, very rarely will I ever add extra copy and lower my conversion rates. Now, this is in part because I'm a very good copywriter, I'm a very competent marketer, but if you do it properly, if you add more benefits, more mechanism, meaning explaining better how your product fulfills its claims, and you add more proof, more what I call future pacing, which is making people imagine how they're going to feel once they use and experience your product, you're probably going to increase your conversion. It's your best bet anyways, because with a headline, it's a 50-50 thing, right? Like even me, like I'm a super good marketer. If I do a headline test and I try to beat my current headline, I'd say there's probably like a 60% chance that I'm going to beat it, which means there's still a 40% chance that I'm going to waste a ton of ad spend on a completely useless split test. Instead, if I add more copy, there's like a 90-95% chance that I'm going to raise your conversion rates. And if your current page is a very short page with very little copy, if you add more details, there's a 98% chance that you're going to increase your conversion rates. Okay, that's how crazy it gets. Whenever I do like consulting with some clients and they want to raise their conversion rates, this is one of the best tricks that I use with them. Now, obviously, there's ways where you can do it better. Like if you use better copies, then you're going to get more conversion, a higher conversion increase. But for the most part, that's what you're going to experience in your business. So again, forget about all the fancy stuff. And the first thing that I want you to take away from the video, the biggest thing, is that conversion rate optimization is not a small thing that's going to bring you like an extra 5 or 10% in revenue. It should be one of the core activities of your marketing strategy, and it can literally double or triple your business if it's done properly, simply because of this non-linear cost per click phenomenon that we talked about. And the second thing that I want you to take away from this video is that the best way to do this, the best way to raise your conversion rates, is to add more copy to your landing pages, to add more benefits, more mechanism, more proof, more future pacing, and any other kinds of copy that might persuade people to buy your product. If you do this simple thing, I can guarantee you're going to skyrocket your business. All right, so if you've liked this video, if you enjoyed this content, obviously, please subscribe to my channel. Put a comment below if you have any questions. I'm going to try my best to answer. Give this video a like, and I appreciate your content. If you want to learn more about my e-commerce growth principles and how to growth hack your business to double, triple, or even quintuple your revenue, please go to my website, ultraadvertising.com, to learn more about these secrets. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.